Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Good morning. And look at this, $50.
Well, don't say anything yet.
Why? Because nobody's watching?
Yeah,
Okay, then I'll wait.
It takes a
Jeez.
second.
Can you kill the music in my studio, please?
Yeah.
How about you make yourself useful?
Wow. Go ahead. You can say it now.
Hey, Brock. Hey.
What's a gay horse eat? Hey.
So
my brother was not happy when I told my little niece that joke.
Hey, that's a good thing for her to go sprinkle on people at school.
Oh, and she did.
Oh, good girl. H. Berman, $50 to Darius's Radio Queen and our Rushy. Thank you. That is so sweet. Thank you very much. How's everybody doing? Hey, we killed it yesterday. We were 4 on the leaderboard.
Yep.
Which is super exciting. They can't ignore us.
Way over 4K.
Yes.
Not live.
Yes.
We ended up being, what, 200 short? 200
something like that. But look, I firmly believe, I was talking to my dad about this when I was out in California over the weekend. And he was asking me about the business. And he's like, so how is your business going? And I said, well, it's going fine. We have a radio show.
I have this great partner who...
He goes, are you guys getting in radio stations and making money off of that? And I said, not yet. We're in radio stations, but we really haven't pushed the pedal on the monetizing of it. I'm like, we're growing and it's going to have to grow at its own pace. There's going to be a day when somebody who's tired of listening to white middle-aged men on the radio is going to be driving through one of your zip codes and is going to be flipping through the dial, or one of you is going to share it with somebody, and that somebody's going to be connected with some muckety-muck in radio. Something's going to happen. I firmly believe that. I firmly do. And I said, Dad, this is why we work well, Brock worked weekends. We often work weekends, but this is why we work holidays and why we're here when everybody else is not. Because every single day there's somebody who's not on the air is an opportunity for somebody who wants someone to find us. Does that make sense? So I have great confidence every single day that what we're doing together has a greater end, though I very, very much enjoy this process with you. And I appreciate you all so much. All of your kind wishes.
Well, I think it goes back.
Holy mackerel. You're so kind.
I think it goes back to...
So kind.
Oh, hold on.
I'm trying to create the illusion of skin, like sunshine on my face.
It goes back to doing your own thing. And I think everybody wants it all at once. And because you try to get it all at once, things fall through the cracks. And this is no bullshit. And I don't know if this was her mentality of it too. When we first started this, go back to when we first started working together. The whole idea that went through my mind was connecting with you guys. That was the first and foremost, and I was able to figure it out by going back to her social media. You know, we talk about the keys, which for the longest time you're like, that's the failure, it didn't work out. And I kept beating into you
I don't think it's a failure.
It's not a failure. It was what I needed to see from
it was
that
proof
time.
Of concept.
Yes. And
then you guys came along and you've look at the numbers go up. 3,800, right? 3,850, 4,000. By the end of the day, we'll have 11, 12,000. It's summertime. Not a whole lot of people are out and about watching this stuff, but you do. I mean, how many of you go back and listen? How many of you take us on vacation? I mean, it's silly, but
that's the only vacation I get. So please take me on vacation. That's the only time I get to go somewhere. It's
whose fault is that?
I've had 3 days off in 3 years, and I wouldn't change a thing.
That's him telling me that he loves me. It's okay. You can say it.
That's me saying, thank God I don't have to get a real job.
Wow. Well, then there's that.
I don't need you speaking for me.
Oh, okay. Darius loves me.
Well, Darius has
Don't
issues.
you dare.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hello, American, beyond the fruited plain. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program. Common sense conservatism every single day, 15 hours of broadcasting. Fabulosity every week. We're excited that you're here. Hello, hello. If this is the first time you've heard my voice, isn't it nice to hear a mom on the airwaves? Isn't it nice to hear a mom who feels the same way you do about all this crazy that's going on in this country? Well, you've come to the right place. Wendy Bell Radio Network. Get the app, download it onto your device, follow along the live video stream, join the chat. Our podcast, Wendy Bell Radio, get that as well. It's just easy to take with you. And I think once you settle in for a minute, you get comfy. It's like easing into a warm bath just feels right. I think you're going to want to keep coming back. Welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. I want to thank all of you for the wonderful wishes, the kind emails, the notes here on the live video stream I shared yesterday, just a few hours after my mom passed away. And I was sitting in the studio kind of just with my thoughts, thinking about it. And I realized how so much of our lives is a choice and how easily we relinquish that control that we have over steering the things that come our way and how those things affect us. As a mom of 5 boys, and I got to tell you, it is the thrill of a lifetime. Not always in the throes of it, because it's freaking stressful to have 5 kids under the age of 8, and the last 2 being twins. It's a lot, and I'll tell you that the years are kind of a blur, and I'm grateful for the snapshots that I took throughout time. Same way as I am the photographs that my family has been circulating with my mom in them. But you have these choices. You can look at parenting as this tremendous burden, as this stress, as this stealing of your prior private time, personal time, this obligation, if you will. Or you can look at it and realize what a gift and what an honor and this wonderful duty you have to do something for the rest of basically the world, to give to them your greatest contribution. Because every single day is your masterpiece at work. It's every new paintbrush on the easel, right? And so I look at this country and I look at all these things, like sort of like how I look at the passing of my mom. Am I devastated that I'm not going to have the selfish things I want? I'm not going to be able to smell her skin anymore. And she smelled like an angel. I'm not going to be able to hold her hand and feel how soft her skin is. I'm not going to hear her laughter or her encouragement. But I'm also not going to be on pins and needles about something happening to her because of her balance and her vision. that made her fall so often. And so I'm going to take the bread I have and I'm going to soak up that gravy and I'm going to enjoy every flavor, every ingredient. And I was thinking about that this morning. I could be devastated. I could crumble. I could get into my head. I could see that my children who are all watching me and gauging how they should feel about their first immediate family members passing, they should be ravaged by it. Or they could see that, hey, we have a lot to be grateful for. Let's celebrate that. You know, that's how I'm looking at our country today. This mystifying veil surrounding Joe Biden and his obvious collapse. It's been so obvious, right? We have a very disingenuous media that has practiced journalism by omission. If we don't tell you something, then it didn't happen. And therefore, we're creating this weird matrix of a false reality. And anybody who should speak up about it, who isn't browbeaten into silence by a very oppressive culture we have now, of just really wet blanketing anybody who speaks the truth. Like, it shouldn't make you a genius to have recognized at the debate in 2020, right before the election, that Joe Biden was not that guy. He was not smart. He was not fast. He didn't have good ideas. And he wasn't sharp. He wasn't sharp then. So for us to now be like, oh boy, now we can talk about it, sort of. Look, this is the world in which we live. We can say, oh, they're just going to cheat. Oh, the system's always rigged against us. Oh, it's always going to go their way, which is the same as me curling up in a ball and being totally ravaged by losing my mom, right? Or you choose a different path. Look, the choice is yours. Always. The choice is yours. And what we have come to is this weird chasm in this High School Musical that we are in, where we're at the cliff of reality, can be energized by it and move forward with that gift. We have a great gift. We have the greatest place God has ever known. This country is magical. The people in it who are the citizens of this country, who are the heartbeat, the central nervous system that pulses to every single one of our states. We are magic. But it involves you now being able to get out in public with people you know and with people you see differently than. It's me talking to my sister, who is diametrically opposed to me politically. I love you, but you gotta know some stuff. You've been conned. And you can hate me for sharing it, but if you love me, and I know you do, it's time for us to have a conversation. Because you're right. While it's not democracy at stake, it's the survival of this country. It's our great success. It's us forging ahead and fixing what these people have screwed up so freaking royally for the last several years, Republican and Democrat. It's about you having a seat at the table. It's about you knowing that you can get your children involved. You can get your neighbors involved. You have a choice. So anybody back there, anybody listening to me, anybody on this live stream, anybody listening on the radio or on the podcast, if your first answer is, they're just going to cheat anyway, they're just going to get away with it anyway, the system is rigged for them. If 1 million of us show up somewhere and we let our voices be heard, what do you think happens? Those people who think they're in control realize very quickly that this is not a democracy. It is a constitutional republic. And by the way, we're in charge. So y'all either get with the program or pack your bags and get the hell out now. That is the predicate of today's program. Those of you who want to make excuses, this might not be your show. Those of you ready to forge ahead and reclaim these great United States, let's go. I'm Wendy Bell. You're tuned in to the Wendy Bell Radio Network. More right after this. I always wonder why people text me during the show.
Huh?
Why people text me during the show? Like, because it pops up. It's like ping, and I'm like, ah. Do you guys understand what I'm getting at? Like, you have every ability in the world to determine how all of this impacts you, right? We play all of this ridiculous sound for you. I will not play much of Joe Biden anymore. It's just, it's painful. It's painful, and you already know. Right? But we have to pepper you with some of the sounds so you know what you're up against. And what we're up against is a bunch of low IQ people who the situation, the machine has placed in positions of quote unquote power because they're malleable, they're bribable, they're blackmailable, and now they're repaying.
It makes me think of a line from one of my favorite movies, Days of Thunder.
Oh.
When the guy's driving and or he's coming out of the hospital, Tom Cruise, and she asked him about driving. He's like, I like to control the uncontrollable. And she's like, newsflash, idiot. Control's an illusion. And it is, because yesterday proved it for you. It's happened to me. You can't stop the hands of time. You can only
control how you respond to it. And I agree. It's easy to get bogged down by the I can't, or we won't, it'll never, this is it.
They're already you say they're going to rig it, they're going to cheat, you're already giving them the illusion of power that they're going to take advantage of.
Then you've got to be part of the too big to rig. Let me tell you guys about one of our sponsors, Field of Greens. You know, a small regret is sort of like slouching in the dentist chair, finding out you've got a cavity or you have a root canal or some jazz going on. Your dentist is looking at you disapprovingly and regretting not taking better care of your teeth. Better health today is what matters. And that's why I enjoy Field of Greens so much, because it's unlike any fruit and vegetable or green product. Field of Greens isn't watered down extracts. It is an organic superfood. It is whole fruits and vegetables. Each fruit and vegetable selected by doctors to support vital bodily functions like the heart and the liver, the kidneys, your metabolism, your immune system. And only Field of Greens is backed by a better health promise. So at your next doctor's visit, your doctor looking at your labs is going to be like, what are you doing? Because whatever it is, I want you to continue doing it. It's pretty much guaranteed or your money back, okay? So don't look back and say, I should have paid better attention to my nutrition when you have it right in your fingertips. It's called Field of Greens, and it is the key to better health today. So let's get you started. 15% off, free shipping, fieldofgreens.com, promo code Wendy. Fieldofgreens.com, promo code Wendy, 15% off, free shipping. I think you're going to notice a difference in less than 2 weeks. Took me about 8 days. Truly. Love it.
And Demanda said it best. Your mother never leaves.
I agree with that.
Wholeheartedly.
You know, it's interesting. There's some voices that we peppered into this broadcast that often are overlooked. These are the people, these Black voices that are very important for us to hear. Look, we all have different experiences based on our upbringing, based on, you know, the zip code in which we live, our parents' financial situation, their marital situation. All of this shapes who we are. And the Black community is largely pandered to and continually screwed, right? And it's okay that I'm a white woman and I'm saying that because anybody with two eyes sees it and hears it as well, right? And the Democrats are the ones doing the screwing. And now you're hearing more and more of these voices speaking up and showing you how much they've been paying attention. And it is truly glorious. It really is. This idea of this awakening the veil coming off. Everybody sees what is going on, and these people are stepping forward. I want to play a couple audio sound bites for you. The first one, this is Dr. Umar Johnson. He's a popular Black activist, and he's talking about Donald Trump when Donald Trump said that all the Black jobs were going to the migrants, and the Democrats were like, that's racist. Here is a Black leader in the community saying, come on, people, open your eyes.
See, when Donald Trump...
We're going to hear more from him later on in the broadcast, but he brings up a very excellent point. All the lipstick on the pig isn't changing the fact that we all see what is going on. And the Black community in particular is seeing that they have been promised this and that, and they've been stepped over and stepped on time and time again, election and election again. And they see, and they're done, and they're tapped. And they're like, we're out of here. This is it. And if there is truly a replacement of the Black vote with this illegal citizenship thing, which is absolutely ridiculous. Ask yourself why all but 5 House Democrats yesterday shot down that bill to require proof of citizenship, birth certificate, right? To prove that you're eligible to vote in federal elections. Why wouldn't they want that? Well, you know damn well why they don't want that. They have to cheat, or they have to claim that Donald Trump, the criminal, the felon, the rapist, the racist, whatever it is an existential threat. And Senator Richard Blumenthal dropped that on the folks in the hallways of Congress yesterday. Listen.
I am deeply concerned about Joe Biden winning this November because it is an existential threat to the country if Donald Trump wins. So I think that we have to reach a conclusion as soon as possible. And I think Joe Biden, as the Democratic nominee, has my support.
Brian, give me your reaction. And how are they going to ultimately reach that conclusion he discusses?
Yeah, what's remarkable about what Senator Blumenthal had to say there is that he supports Joe Biden. He's never wavered. He's been someone who, right after the debate, even said that he was still believing that he should be the nominee. So the idea that in the same breath that he says he supports Joe Biden as the nominee, that he also says he has real concerns that Donald Trump could win in the fall, it shows this kind of murky position that congressional Democrats are leaving the president in, and why there is this necessity, as he rightly points out, for them to figure something out and do it sooner rather than later. You know, Anna, it really sometimes feels as though they're trying to send the president a subtle message that he is just not getting. In order for this dam to break, you get the sense that they're going to have to stop being subtle and just come right out and say what they're actually thinking, not trying to allow the president to read between the lines.
You know, I'll read between the lines. America's getting absolutely destroyed by inflation, by people who should not be here, by ridiculous and reckless spending, by liars in Congress who are hamstrung by their own blackmail and bribery, by people who don't give a rip about America. Look, that's what it's about, Dick Blumenthal. It's not about some existential threat. You know what Donald Trump is? He is a threat to you staying in power. Why? New York now a battleground state for Donald Trump? Say it isn't so. Let me read this to you guys from pointreport.org. Former President Donald Trump aims to be the first Republican in 40 years to win New York, leveraging internal Democratic turmoil and a narrowing poll gap to target the state's 28 electoral votes. Wait a minute. New York is now considered a battleground? That's like Joe Biden losing 40% of the Black vote. Do you see what is going on? And all of these voices who are saying, it's got to be Joe Biden, only Joe. Nobody cares about you. It's a game to them. And you're just a peasant. You are a serf in their kingdom. You are to tend to the flock. They'll take care of the heavy lifting. It's what is so maddening about the liberal mentality. These activists, this kind that always knows better than you, who finger wags with negligible data, totally irrefutable science and a Trump derangement complex, the likes of which is truly baffling to those of us living in Realville. This is why these people are freaking out. Now, look, as Republicans, as conservatives, we have to let this crazy train crash. We have to let these people implode. And that means stepping back and allowing it to happen. And we're going to talk about that when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program. For now, the dam is holding. Democrats publicly line up behind Joe Biden. But what they say behind the scenes tells you everything you need to know about why they're petrified of Donald Trump. Coming up next.
Well, her coffee and Sir Juice go through her. Let me tell you about Body Buy. I'm going to get another IV today. They're fantastic. I love them. But go get the blood work done. If you get the blood work done and you find out what's wrong, you can get the IVs. And I haven't been sick in 3 years, and I attribute that to going and getting the immune IV. Full of zinc and other things to keep me quote unquote healthy. You can also get other IVs and they're tailored right to you. They make them there. There's not these prepackaged that come and you get them. They literally make them there. I've watched Allie make them. They're fantastic. Give them a call. Get the blood work done. 412-227-9255. 412-227-9255, bodybyaim360.com. Find out what's wrong. The blood work's going to tell you 65 biomarkers. It's going to tell you about hormones and the different foods you can eat. If your A1C, a bunch of different things that help you get in the best health you can get. And it's made a difference. It's made a difference for me. I got to lose a lot of weight that made me healthier, which with the IVs help me not get sick, and not getting sick helps me show up to work every day. So Body by Aim, 412, give them a call, get the blood work done.
412-227-9255.
Wow, look at you jumping all over me.
412-227-9255.
412-227-9255.
I'm done.
412-227-9255, bodybuyam360.com.
All right. So today I am also representing the Wellness Center. I really appreciate Dr. McCullough, Dr. Drew, all of the various people who've been the brave ones. And it shouldn't be brave to speak up when you're a medical professional. See something, say something, right? Aren't we supposed to do that about terrorism? Well, how about you do it in medicine when you've got people like Dr. Fauci and Rochelle Walensky and Francis Collins on all these other clodhoppers lying to you about this or that? How nice to have people, physicians you can get behind. So they created the Wellness Company. And if you go to twc.health/Wendy, investigate all of the personal kits they have. They have the personal emergency kit, the travel kit. They've got the contagion kit, which I want to tell you about today. But they've also got that spike detox kit for the spike protein that's gotten in your body from the vaccine. How do you get rid of that stuff? Well, you go to the Wellness Company, twc.health/Wendy. So let me say, let's see. Wow. It's interesting. They have all of these testimonials that they share, which is really important. If you get the contagion kit right now, you're going to save $30. If you use my name, Wendy, go to twc.health/Wendy. Use that code. And if you take a quick intake form, you're going to look at that. And you have to sign that. It's sort of like a prescription between you and the doctors. This is what I'm doing because they have to give you a prescription for it. Your kit will arrive in the mail in about 2 weeks. What's in the kit? Well, a bunch of things for preparedness, for viruses. You're going to have ivermectin. You're going to have all sorts of different medicines and a kit that tells you, a little book that tells you how to use everything. It's nice to be prepared, but peruse all of their offerings, because I think having one that you can take on the road, like this, right? It comes like this. So it's a hardcover moment. And I think that knowing this and identifying this and being ready for this down the road, this is a great honor for us to be able to crack through the suck and to have a clear line of sight to see what everybody's doing, and for it to be so obvious now. I was a television news reporter for many, many, many years, decades. And I loved it. I loved being able to go out and being trusted with somebody's story. And I developed a knack to actually communicate with people, and sometimes in their darkest moments. And I was always mystified by the amazing things they told me. In fact, people would say in the newsroom, I have no idea how you get such powerful sound bites from people. And I'm like, well, you have to genuinely care. I think you have to genuinely care about the job you're doing. I mean, you're talking about them. And I had this great connection with people on the news. And I loved it. Today, it is journalism by omission. We're not going to tell you things. We're going to tell you certain things, but not others. And we're going to just lie to you and straight out propagandize. I think more and more people have come around to that reality. It's disappointing, but it's predictable. And as long as you're prepared for it and you can identify it, it's like, I'm being lied to. I need to think critically. I can't continue in my trance, my cruise control of letting the media tell me what's going on. Think about the things they've not picked up. As a journalist, you don't have to be, but I can clearly see this. They failed to tell us about anything regarding Joe Biden's cognitive collapse. They've known about this for years. Cone of silence. They've said nothing about Biden's classified documents, right? They just don't even cover it. They don't talk about it. There's not a realistic media apparatus to cover the migrant crime, which is out of control. What are you going to do when you infuse 17 million people into a country in a couple of years? You're going to have a lot of problems. And they refuse to cover that, refuse to cover the murder rate. How many cities just don't provide data, right? They just don't. And then that allows Joe Biden or one of his mouthpieces to come out and say, oh, under his watch, violent crime, murder is down. Well, if people stop reporting it to you, does it mean it didn't happen? Of course not, right? They haven't told us about the millions of dollars that Joe Biden and his crime family syndicate have accepted from foreign governments. There's been absolutely no journalistic curiosity in that at all. They just want it to go away. And it's always with the specter of Donald Trump being this existential threat. Let's not talk about us. Let's talk about how bad that guy is. It's a really bad offensive strategy. And everybody's picking up on it. I got some audio for you I want you to hear. And I think what we're seeing now is the Democratic Party's basically made its decision. While there are some defectors, there are some people who have come out of the shadows. George Clooney, we're going to talk about him coming up in the beginning of the next segment, the next hour. George Clooney coming out of the woodwork now and saying, you know what, that Hollywood fundraiser that we made like $25 million, Julia Roberts and I hosted, and Barack Obama and Joe Biden headlined, where Biden had to be helped or off stage by Obama. 3 weeks after that, George Clooney comes out and goes, yeah. 3 weeks after the debate, oh, yeah, that's the guy that we saw. Yeah, at that fundraiser in Hollywood. Kind of old, kind of decrepit, out of there. Why are you waiting, George? They have to feel. Gotta feel. What am I allowed to say? What should we say? They're given marching orders. There's a general person in charge who's distributing the talking points. And all of these people are puppets on that string. All right? I want you to hear Debbie Dingell. She's an absolute nutcase anyway. Sorry, but that's my professional assessment. After years of covering this sort of stuff, she's a complete whack job. And she's going to absolutely short circuit, like her brain malfunctions when she's asked if Joe Biden really is the strongest candidate. These audio sound bites allow you to see who's lining up with the establishment and who's not. Listen.
I do just want to ask you again if you think President Biden is the strongest person at the top of the ticket to win Michigan in the fall.
He's the candidate right now. And these are do you beat your wife kind of questions. You know, who is the strong? Everybody said Hillary Clinton's the strongest candidate. She's going to win. And I told you all in 2015, 2016, Donald Trump was going to win. I loved Hillary, but she wasn't the strongest candidate. What we got to do is go out and talk the issues. And we got to make sure we talk about what Joe Biden's accomplished, what the vision is, what Democrats stand for,
What do Democrats stand for? What has he done? Except raise prices, make our whole country unsafe, flooded us with illegal drugs from China that are manufactured and smuggled through from Mexico. Like, what have they done? What's been beneficial? You guys doing good? You're well? Everything's great? You're pleased with that decision to vote for Joe Biden that they made for you? Really? Of course not. She's frantic. How about this? Here's Nancy Pelosi snapping at an ABC News reporter. Now, this reporter is a black woman, right? And I've heard people say this is such a racist exchange from Nancy Pelosi. I disagree. I just think she's frantic and realizes the walls have closed in. Listen.
Convey to President Biden what you said this morning.
I'm not having any conversations with you or anybody else about what I talked to the president about. With all due respect.
Do you believe that?
I never do, so it's nothing new.
I understand, Madam Speaker. Do you believe that him waiting so long to make this decision could harm the party?
I'm not making any comments in the hallway about the fate of our nation. Okay?
Are you concerned whether or not he can win in November?
I think he can win.
Do you believe he should run for re-election?
I'm not. Am I speaking English to you? I'm not going to be making any statements about any of that right now in the hallway.
Am I speaking English to you? Am I not speaking English to you? She's doing her job. Do you think Biden is the best candidate? Do you think he's going to win? Well, what do you think about this? You're a member of Congress, Nancy. You are happy to have us in your house, seeing your overpriced gourmet ice cream and your $25,000 refrigerator freezer set. I'm not jealous of that. Good for you. But please, oh, Nancy, am I not speaking English to you? I'm not going to speak about this in the hallway. You know what, sister? We pay your bills. Yeah, you will speak with us. How scared is that? How about this? A black panel of voters shaking up The Daily Show. A reporter from The Daily Show. Isn't that Jon Stewart? Is that Jon Stewart, Brock? It is.
Yeah, it is.
So this is a guy who's there talking to six black voters, asking basically Trump or Biden. And the dude is not expecting this answer. Listen.
Okay, so who will you be voting for in 2024? Daryl.
Do I have to say his name? I don't want to, but more than likely it's going to be Trump.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Who are you going to be voting for?
Biden.
And then Victor?
I'm with her.
Oh, Biden, okay.
Trump.
Eric, Trump?
Biden.
Biden?
Trump.
Okay, we're an even split, which I didn't see that coming. So do you think there's going to be a big shift, any sort of change?
I think it's going to be a big shift.
Me too.
Big shift?
Yes. Big
really?
shift.
Okay.
For me, I've always been a Democrat, and it's like for the most part with the Democratic Party, they always make a bunch of promises that they can't deliver.
You know, they use the issues of the African American community as a soapbox to stand on and make promises, you know, just to get us to come out and vote. And then once we vote and everyone's in place, it's like, well, what happened?
Well, what happened? It's almost like the black community is keenly aware of the Democrat Party suck. Right? And so we played you the first audio soundbite from Dr. Umar Johnson, who is a He's an activist in the Black community. He's well regarded. And he's on with Charlemagne the God on the Breakfast Club. And he basically says this about Joe Biden's greatest, honesty. Because he said to the Black community exactly what he was going to do back in 2020. Why do you think he wants all these people coming across our border? Why do you think the Democrats shot down, even though it passed, it'll never progress, but a bill that would require proof of citizenship to vote in federal elections? Because he's counting on the Black community bowing out and replacing them with illegals. This guy sees it from 30,000 feet. And replace our income, can take our income, and instead they can earn it. Not everybody can be in the throes of the Democrat open pocketbook, and they're being replaced. So this article on Breitbart.com is pretty interesting because Democrats have obviously made their decision. They're riding with Biden despite deep concerns. So you have people like Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries. You've got the squad members of SUC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You've got Ilhan Omar, who cares more about Somalia than anything going on here in the United States, which should be a major problem for people, seemingly isn't, right? All lining up behind Joe Biden. And this, my friends, is fantastic news for the rest of the country. Because if they try to do this again, if they try to steal it again, if they try to flood the ballots again, if they try to fiddle with the machines, if they try to do anything that is remotely untoward, and they're going to do it with an obviously cognitive collapsed candidate in Joe Biden, do you really think everybody at home is going to be down with those results? I don't think so. All right, so when we come back on the Wendy Bell Radio program, I want to talk about this. The CNN panel on George Clooney's opinion piece, saying it was devastating. Oh, George Clooney, King George. Let's talk about it next. What a dirtbag. So you hear me talking about Patriot Switch every day. And I talk about this movement of people, which is this patriotswitch.com/Wendy. But what we do is we've all decided to come together and pull our money out of these companies. Did you see the guy from Unilever testifying before that congressional panel yesterday? It was fascinating. They spend $850,000. Their ad budget at Unilever is $850,000. And they're activists. Why don't you just make good, safe products that we all can get behind? Because that's not what they're in it for. This company that Patriot Switch represents is family run, family owned, family operated with zero debt. They own everything. Everything is made in America, 450 different products, right? One of those products happens to be this badass stain spray in the laundry room. Think about anything in your kitchen, underneath the sink, anything that you use to clean your dishes, your floor, your kitchen, anything in there. Then go upstairs to your bathroom and your laundry room. All right. Anything that you put on your body, you stay in the shower to get clean. Anything that you clean your clothes with, right? This spray, this tough and tender stain spray, badass. My son Chris had a bloody nose, like one of those bubbling over kind of scary bloody noses that made him look like a crime scene. And it got all over his pants. And he didn't tell me, he just left it there, sitting there in the laundry room. And I'm like, soaking it's super helpful and putting some stain crap on this. So it was like caked in there, baked in there. I took some of this stuff, went like that to it, threw it into the washer, put in Patriot Switch soap, and shazam, all done. Perfect. It's just, they make things better. Toothpaste, better. Toilet bowl cleaner, better. Laundry soap, better. Cleaning your floor, better. All of it. I love the products. I invite you to join us. patriotswitch.com/Wendy. Share some information with us about you, and somebody on our team will get in touch with you from the Wendy Bell Radio team at Patriot Switch. There's a reason they've never been sued for poison issues, because they don't put chemicals in their things. They don't have child safety caps, even on their most powerful cleansers and cleaners. Why? Because they go to the science, actual science, and solve problems rather than the chemical side, which is fantastic. There you go. That's my soapbox. I'm sticking to it.
Wonder what the record is for rumbles in the first hour.
Stop it. Really?
Or 225.
With only, and I see only 8,900 people, which is a lot. Don't get me wrong. 646 on Twitter. It's so slow on Twitter. It cracks me up. Why did we have that one day? We had like 8,000 people. Why?
Remember, that's the day we had technical difficulties and people jumped and then they jumped back.
That was the day we got the most rumbles. That was the day we got the most views.
I think it was the third Friday after the debate.
I don't know.
The Friday after the debate is when we hit 20-some thousand live views.
Yeah, but that wasn't when we I don't remember.
No, that wasn't the day we had technical difficulties. It was the day after. I think it was the Monday after that we had the issue.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. I was going to call BS on it, but
I mean 235. You gave out fake, well, not here, but you gave out fake news early today.
What did I say?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You know, I want to remind everybody as well, as I was reminded reading an article, I'd love to take credit for it, but it was an opinion piece in The Hill, and the author was basically blaming this chapter of American history, which is America in retrograde. It's America teetering on the brink of collapse. Because if we allow Joe Biden to quote unquote finish the job, I mean, I hate to feel dire, specifically when my opening monologue was about how we have a choice and we can look at things in certain ways, and that choice is yours. But I think I would be disingenuous if I didn't say it would be pretty serious, because the job is to destroy this country. That is the plan. That is their overarching objective, right? But this is the same party, the Democrats. They also shamed and shunned Dean Phillips. Remember when he decided to get in the primary against Joe Biden? And the Democrat Party just totally excommunicated him. He was like Archbishop Vigano. They were like, forget you. I'm not talking to you. If you tell the truth, and Dean Phillips did tell the truth. Remember what he said? He argued it would be impossible for Joe Biden to do the job for the next 4 years. Dean Phillips was like the only one who was willing to say months and months ago, Houston, we've got a problem. But either they're so corrupt or they were so convinced by their own farce that everything remain calm, all is well, right? Whatever the reason was, it conflicted with reality that we could all see. Guy is a total, he's collapsing, and there's nothing to celebrate about that. But we also aren't going to tiptoe around it. So they went after Dean Phillips. Well, how about this? This is interesting, and we're going to get into some more of the nuts and bolts of what George Clooney wrote. I don't care about George Clooney. I like George Clooney as an actor. I know he's, wicked left. That's fine. Whatever. You do you. You're Hollywood. You're part of the sock. You're part of the fabric of the swamp. And it's really a shame that Hollywood, much like music, any entertainment, media, they're all in the same throes of running these plays to deter us from.
Axe, what do you think about that argument?
Look, I think there's merit to it. Sometimes this is all a matter of risk assessment. There's risk associated with everything. The question is whether the risk of the status quo eclipses the risk of trying something else. And I think we've reached the point where many have come to that conclusion. But the thing about the piece, Dana, that I thought was particularly impactful was Clooney, who just hosted a major fundraiser for the president a few weeks ago in California, said you can't win the battle against time. None of us can. It's devastating to say, but Joe Biden I was with 3 weeks ago, the fundraiser was not the Joe Biden of 2010. He wasn't even the Joe Biden of 2020. He was the same man we all witnessed at the debate. That is devastating. That's devastating.
Yeah, and
and it's what people fear.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to ask John about, because, John, you were at that fundraiser as well. I don't know if you spent as much time with President Biden as George Clooney did, since he was one of the hosts. But I'm totally with you, David. That quote was like, wow.
I mean, it was not surprising to any of us who were at the fundraiser. I was there. Clooney was exactly right. And every single person I talked to at the fundraiser thought the same thing, except for the people working for Joe Biden, or at least they didn't say that. But I remember my wife, Emily, turned to me after the fundraiser and said, "What are we going to do?" I mean, and I said, well, there's a debate in a week. Either he'll do well in the debate and we'll think, well, he was just tired because he flew all the way back from Europe and that'll be that. Or he'll be like this at the debate and then the whole country will be talking about it. And so here we are.
Wow. Please come back, both of you. Thank you.
Where were you? You saw it. There is this deep cowardice among these people. They're the quote unquote stars, but these are not thought leaders. These are cowards who are paying back bribes, right? And the media have been silent about all of it. So what did George Clooney say? And do you care? I'm going to go with yeah, you do, because it's very interesting at 30,000. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. $2.44. Are we going to get to 2.5 in the first hour? That's wild. You guys are phenomenal. You know that. I know you do. Right? See if we can get over the hump. Oh, 7 thumbs downs. Good. Welcome.
Embrace the hatred.
TexasBullion.com, TexasBullion.com. I'm excited. I'm supposed to take a phone call with them here, hopefully in this next week. And I like the sponsors who are constantly changing their approaches to you to say, hey, I know it seems like now's not a great time to talk about gold. Like, who's like, I'm going to go buy some gold. When 78% of America is living paycheck to paycheck. Let's consider that for a moment. Actually is a great time to consider getting into precious metals as investment opportunities. And oftentimes you can do this without being out of pocket. You don't have to spend out of pocket. If you've already been saving, it's easy to get into your portfolio. It's also not complicated when you have a partner like Texas Bullion Exchange to get actual gold coins and gold rounds and buffaloes and bars, if the case might be, to learn about platinum and palladium and silver. Maybe some of those precious metals are better for you and what your objectives are going forward. Just know that you've got a partner. And the partner I trust talking about this is Texas Bullion Exchange. TexasBullion.com, 855-927-5557, 855-927-5557. When you call that number, they know you're from the Wendy Bell radio program, and they're super excited to talk to you because our listeners are kind of an advertiser's dream. You guys are responsive, you are supportive, and you make me look good. So thank you. TexasBullion.com, 855-927-5557. Shut up. That's very exciting to me. Just gonna say it.
See if everyone knows what that means.
Everybody knows what that means, right? Let's see. Are we gonna get it? 2.58. Gee whiz. New open alert. Yes.
Yep.
Demand has got it. Darius has given you a kind of a code red. It's just green. I love it. Yes, Glow, you know exactly what's going on.
Code Red already happened.
You had your search use, did ya?
I did.
Hey, man, I'll tell you what.
With no power, that was scary.
Yeah, you had the, 7 hours?
No, went off at 3.
Oh, fudge.
And came back
10 hours?
At 1:15.
It's so violating. You take it so for granted when
I slept on my deck last night.
Ugh. And it was hot as balls. It was hot as balls. Yeah. It was just like sticky.
Way. I took the dog outside and said, we're sleeping outside.
Yeah. Woof. Oh, drinking your cert right now. Let's go, Glow. I'm glad. So am I. I really like the flavor of it. I'll tell you guys more about it in a little bit.
I know I say this, and it might not be the best commercial. I was surprised that it's tasty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you know those things, just you're like, how could they make this taste good?
Right. So good. Well, that first hour flew by. Did it fly by for anybody else? I squeezed in a lot. I feel like I had a lot to say. Let's hope I still have stuff to say. I don't know. It's kind of spur of the moment. But I really felt like there was a lot going on in there, and we needed to, just because they're not telling you it's news doesn't mean it's not happening.
And yes, we still have Crescent Mountain Coffee.
Oh, thank you. I haven't talked about them in forever.
Right. And I don't know what the number was for when we did the month for Win Red.
I don't know. I'll have to get that. Yeah, if we don't talk about it, it doesn't get bought, which is a bummer. And I've been remiss in that. So that's my bad. CrescentMountainCoffee.com. I'm telling you what. If you have somebody in your life who's a coffee drinker, if it's you, buy 2. They're expensive. I'm going to tell you they're expensive.
Yeah.
Worth every penny, every drip.
The Shizizo blend for cold brew, if you're into cold brew like I am.
Appropriate email, Ron, wendybellradio@gmail.com. wendybellradio@gmail.com. I have to go to the post office box, and I hopefully will be able to swing by that today. P.O. Box 86033, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15221. I'm not encouraging you to send anything. I'm just saying that's where we get mail.
Someone said, do you guys drink the powdered drinks every day? I do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I do.
See, the thing
you're gonna like the Patriot blend too.
The thing I like about Cert versus Field of Greens, they are different things that do different things. So I drink the Cert in the morning and I drink Field of Greens in the afternoon when I'm getting a hankering for something salty. It's not salty, but it
really.
I have total.
Maybe I should try that when I get a hankering for something sweet.
I just want potato chips.
You always want Pringles.
I do. I like Pringles.
Yeah, don't say potato chips.
No, it's not true. See, they're easy to octave. Like if you can do an octave on the keyboard.
Yeah, but then you can keep count of how many you.
Yeah,
it's like there's individual. My mother-in-law makes individually wrapped cookies. I'm like, knock that off, because then I look at the wrappers and I'm like, oh god, I ate that many.
That's cute.
New open.
I love it. Let's go, Kelly Pigeon. 2.69.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family.
72% of voters say that they believe President Biden is too old. That's according to CNN's most recent polling. The reality is that the Democratic elites are mostly late to acknowledge these age and ability issues compared to the rest of the public.
Yeah, I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline. I would think that somebody in the Trump family would be more sensitive, diagnosing politicians from afar.
The elites have been forced to reckon with it after the debate.
The fact is that you and I are sitting here today because
This will be your last week of employment. You gotta try not to take this personally.
Well, I just had a bad night. I don't know why.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program is officially on the clock, and we're going to get right to it. How about this? ca.news.yahoo. You know, I have to give you all this because I tell you where I find it so you can find it too. Here's your headline. Actor George Clooney, a high-profile Biden supporter and fundraiser, asks president to leave the race. Oh, my goodness. Everybody's running around like, what? You know, maybe it's because I've been a public figure for so many years, and certainly on a super duper small scale, right? I don't have millions of followers. I'm not recognized wherever I travel the world. I think that would be daunting. I think that would be exhausting. But I also don't, because of my own quote unquote recognizability from 20 odd years here in the Pittsburgh area, it's not unusual to be recognized, and it's really not that big of a deal. And I look at other quote unquote celebrities, and I'm not, but I kind of look at them with sorrow. I'm like, oh, it's got to be difficult, right? It's got to be a hard life. These people in Hollywood are, by and large, really big willows. You know what I mean? These people don't have a huge backbone. They don't stand up and say what needs to be said. In fact, they look like people like Robert De Niro, who lose their minds and are freaking out. They're freaking out over Donald Trump because they fear what is coming. And what is coming isn't an existential threat to America. It's an existential threat to them continuing to live in the shadows of their own yuck. I think a lot of these people are involved in some very unsavory things. I think the human trafficking and pedophilia in this country is so beyond our wildest nightmare. And I think a lot of these people are connected in some way, either to the acts themselves or to the cover up of it. And I think Hollywood is a cesspool of ugh, right? I find it very interesting that Barack Obama and Joe Biden gave the Presidential Medal of whatever to how many different people: Ellen DeGeneres, Whoopi Goldberg, Tom Hanks, George Clooney, all of these people who've been rumored to just have some really dirty, dark skeletons in the closet. And I think they're panicked, so panicked, that when Donald Trump is reelected, if God willing that happens, that this veil that has been lifted on a lot of this, the Band-Aid's going to get ripped off. And their lives and how we view them is going to change forever. And it's going to be terrible for them, as well it should be. George Clooney coming out of the shadows now, saying Joe Biden isn't the guy we thought he was. Joe Biden's never the guy anybody's thought he was, unless you saw it clearly. And you saw him as a plagiarist, as a liar, as an embellisher, as a tragedy porn peddler, all of it. So I want to read this to you. Movie star, lifelong Democrat George Clooney added his voice to calls for Joe Biden to leave the presidential race Wednesday, just weeks after headlining a fundraiser that brought in a record single night haul for the president's reelection campaign. Ask yourself critically, would you be able to, if you knew Donald Trump was not all there, if you knew that there was something going on that was bad, could you honestly get in that camp and vote for that? I don't believe I could. I really don't. I do have this overarching kumbaya love of America. And as much as I like my team to win, I'm not willing to sacrifice morals and values and honesty. If I thought he was a bad guy, I wouldn't vote for him. Apparently, the Hollywood sorts don't necessarily feel the same way. Clooney said in a New York Times opinion piece that he loves Biden, but the party would lose the presidential race as well as any control in Congress with him as the nominee. Quote, "This isn't only my opinion. This is the opinion of every senator and Congress member and governor that I've spoken with in private," Clooney wrote. He's hosted several high-dollar Hollywood fundraisers, including for Biden last month. Clooney argued that the party should pick a new nominee at its convention next month, saying that the process would be messy, but it would wake up voters in the party's favor, mentioning Vice President Kamala Harris and Governors Wes Moore of Maryland, Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan, and Gavin Newsom of California, among those who the country should now hear. You guys, of course, heard all about Gretchen Whitmer, who yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, signed some bill into law that would make it illegal for there to be an actual review of election results. If it's suspected that the election results are somehow dubious, which of course they would be if Gretchen Whitmer is anywhere near them, she waved her magic wand and said, no, it is what it is. You know who does that? You know who does that? The same people as the Democrats, all but 5, who voted against a measure that would provide or would make mandatory proof of citizenship to vote in federal elections. Like, who would vote against that? Somebody who obviously is dirty as nuts. Facts. So here we have George Clooney saying this, right? Oh my goodness. This is the that you and I blissfully, as we work to be good people, to pay our bills, to raise our children with values, to be involved in our communities, to help each other out, to run our businesses the best way we can. We're blissfully disconnected from these people who are so dark, right? So I wanted to lay these cards on the table for you. I don't give a fat rip what George Clooney thinks. I don't care about him any more than I care about the women on The View. But isn't it sad? It's pathetic to see that they've either not paid attention or they've been down with the deceit from day one. Which is more offensive to you? People who believe that they're better than you, preaching at you, lying to you, doing it purposefully, strategically, or those people who've always thought they were better than you and never actually paid attention, never read beyond a headline, never did their own homework. I don't know. But the alignment of Democrats now, Joe Biden's the candidate. I would be very surprised if they replaced him. And we ought not want him replaced. How are you going to describe a president in Donald Trump who had record low inflation, record low unemployment, record low border crossings at the end of his presidency, energy independence, all of it, right? Peace in the Middle East. I mean, what's left? That he rises from the dead? Or a decrepit, demented old man who has accepted millions of dollars from foreign governments? I don't know. It's a toss-up. Coming up on the Wendy Bell radio program, we got this magical mashup. I call it a magical mashup. All these voices of Democrats telling you Joe Biden's sharp as a tack. Now the about face, it's just so enjoyable, isn't it? Don't miss it next. It's fantastic.
Someone said they should televise a Trump-Joe Biden golf match. Make them drive their own carts.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I saw something on Twitter. Some guy took a video of Trump and he shanked one. And they're like, oh my gosh, he shanked it.
I do it every
and
day.
And I thought, wow, when I was golfing with Michael on Monday, and I'm a pretty good golfer. I'll admit, I'm a pretty good golfer. And I hit one. It went straight in front of the cart, completely to the right. And Michael looks at me and goes, I didn't see it. I'm like, how did you not see it? It went right past you. I mean, I hit it directly past him.
Wow, so you're trying to kill my kid.
He's like, you want to try to find that? And it was a WBR ball. And I was like, that's advertising. Let's just keep going.
Yeah, we like sprinkling those balls
Yeah,
out there.
I told him, I was like, that was a purposeful shot
triggering
for advertising.
Triggering people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, it wasn't trying to kill your kid. It was just a bad shot.
Whatever.
It was a downhill lie.
Oh, okay. I just think it's so fascinating to hear these people step forward now and pretend like they're the truth tellers, right? Let us tell you what's going on. Oh, really? See, because I've been fired, I've been deplatformed, we've been demonetized, right?
It's tough to be. I don't know about you, but 25 years in the business, I've seen people who just rip and read.
Oh yeah.
So to me,
I think it's the majority.
Yeah, like you're like, of course you're not. Of course I'm not surprised by Jake Tapper. He's getting paid to read what they put in front of him, and even on the local level, they get paid to read what's in front of them.
That's like that public service announcement where they're all saying the same thing about misinformation.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
That's why when you see, whenever you see a public service announcement by a GM or president of media, someone in the newsroom wrote that.
Yeah.
So the person who's supposed to be
the thought leader
is editorializing for management. It's ridiculous.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I've got some really weird ass hair today. Sorry, guys. It is what it is. I just think it's hilarious.
I didn't see you do this today.
Oh, I didn't yet. Oh, I'm still needing to do something. Thank you so much. Beverly Hills MD1, BHMD1.com/Wendy. It's my magical little tube of 54-year-old eraser. And it's great. And I loved hearing about Dr. Jonathan Lakey. He's a world-renowned cosmetic expert who created something for the lifestyles of the rich and famous that now we paupers can have. It comes in this tube, but you don't inject it. You just squeeze it out on your hand, on your finger, and you put it in areas that you'd like to cover up from wrinkles and dark spots and all that, like sallow shadowing and whatnot, bags and what you have. I have it. You put this on, give it about 15 minutes, and then see what happens when you look in the mirror again, because those lines kind of magically go away. BHMD1.com/Wendy. Get two, because you're going to be annoyed. BHMD1.com/Wendy. Thank you, Dr. Lakey. You want to be a boyfriend?
Well, here we go again.
Well, hey, if I had no an everlasting supply of that stuff.
140 away from 3K. Can we get 3K before 10:30? That's fantastic.
You guys are awesome, and I love you.
Loves everyone.
I do. All right, so I think the best thing that we could have as conservatives, and I know not everybody listening to this program is a conservative, but if you're not, I have to ask you respectfully, why the hell not? I don't understand the delineation between us. I don't understand how you can't see on the left that you've been fed a truckload of garbage, and it's been fed to you for generations. Because, the black voter is waking up. You know who else is waking up? The Jewish voter. Joe Biden's Jewish vote is hemorrhaging. Why ever would that be? Oh, I don't know. The waffling on this war in the Middle East, right? Us giving money to everybody and his brother to bomb Israel out of extinction or into extinction. And all these protests on the college campuses show you exactly what's being done. And it's gross. So if you're on the left and you're looking at us on the right, what don't you like about our policies? What don't you like about our values? I'm curious. Because I really don't see anything even remotely controversial about believing you should be able to decide how you live your life. You should be able to have a gun if you want to have a gun and protect your home and your family. Shouldn't be controversial. You should be able to say what you want to say. You should be able to vote the way you want to vote without thinking that somebody is stealing that vote. You should be able to live without fear of being conked over the head or having your car stolen from you or your daughter kidnapped, right? We have very basic, we believe in life. We believe in liberty. We believe in freedom. We believe in you. They believe in them and you being the subject. Look, if you're not completely 100% on board with the idea of this propaganda wing of the establishment, mainstream deep state apparatus that runs this country right now, I want you to listen to this. It's a great magical mashup of voices. You're going to hear, let's see, all these people claiming it within the last several weeks. No. Those are cheap fake videos. That's not Joe Biden walking around like a robot. That's Republicans. That's MAGA. That's right-wing journalists. I'm a right-wing. Really? We didn't manipulate anything. We just showed you what he did and told you what he said, and everybody can hear it. You're going to hear, let's see, Pelosi, Jeffries, Dingell, Clyburn, Mad Max, Ro Khanna, Raskin, Swalwell, Goldman, Omar, Auchincloss, and Garamendi. All of these Democrats telling you Joe Biden, he is sharper than ever. What a fantastically savvy, sharp mind this guy has. Didn't age well. Enjoy.
President Biden is absolutely fit. He has knowledge of the issues. He has strategic thinking about legislating. All in the head.
I have spoken with the president. He is fully coherent. He is on top of detail.
He's sharp. He's fit. He's always answering questions.
I think that Joe Biden's mental acuity is very, very on. He's one of the smartest, sharpest people I've met in D.C.
There's no doubt in my mind that the president is mentally fit for office.
Joe Biden rightly says that he has grown very wise in his many decades in public office.
As it stands today, you believe that President Biden is clear, candid, and convincing?
100%. Joe Biden needs to be allowed to be Joe Biden. He is energizing. He cares about issues. He's Joe Biden. And Joe Biden, there's nobody better than Joe Biden.
We see Joe Biden up close. We know how attuned he is to the issues, how informed he is. And I debate with him about legislation, and not debate, but discuss it with him. He's right there.
I strongly support President Biden. He has an incredible track record of success and accomplishments.
He puts many of us to shame with his energy.
Clearly, this president is fit to serve.
Joe Biden has vision. He has knowledge. He has a strategic thinker. This is a very sharp president.
And nobody is better equipped to do that than Joe Biden. He has the experience, he has the wisdom, he has the demeanor.
I was in Israel on October 7th, as you know, and President Biden was nice enough to call me. And I can tell you, this was the day before that interview, I can tell you he was sharper than anyone I've spoken to.
It always seemed very clear to me that he had the energy and the ability.
Is he capable of being a president? Absolutely.
I think he's actually really good. I think his staff overprotects him. I think put him out there in a press conference. Who cares if someone makes a gaffe?
What I find interesting is the issue is more around ageism and ableism and not what this President Biden has done.
I think he has every ability and every confidence to continue to be commander-in-chief.
I think the more he's out there, the better.
President Biden has proven himself to have a strong memory.
You don't do that unless you're mentally competent and capable, and he certainly is.
I mean, right? In today's that didn't age well category, bing, 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 we have a winner. Now, look, all of these voices, they're doing one of two things. They're either stupid and they don't hang out with the guy, or they're corrupt. Now, what's behind magical door number 3 is both. Where is the critical Mr. Swalwell? I'd like to play this audio for you. This was 3 weeks ago. Why the about face now? Or do you still feel this way? Well, it's called the death of your media. They're dead. It's done. I mean, if you're still watching a lot of these folks, that's unfortunate. And I'll explain why. We're going to go over to CNN, where their host, Abby Phillips, sits down with Gretchen Whitmer. I apologize in advance, but it's super necessary for you to hear this, okay? And you'll probably only hear it here. Next. This is like, it's truly, and I think Brock and I kind of made a decision probably at different times, but a while ago. that these people are not going to have the ability to make me miserable every day. That we can enjoy making fun of their obvious suck. And that is my overarching cause here. My overarching desire is to illustrate to you how every single day royally they suck. And it's kind of now it's a game. It's disappointing. But if you look at it as a game show, right? Keep coming back. You're the big winner. What were you going to say, Brock?
We're 299.
Wow.
We got 15 seconds.
I want to thank the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh, Doc Rafferty and his team there, and all of the people that they have helped. I mean, I can imagine that the number has got to be near 15,000 now who have gone into the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh just in absolute misery when you can't roll over in bed without pain or tie your shoes or get into the garden and bend over and pull a weed or play with your kids or grandkids. Your quality of life quickly slips through your fingers. And what Doc Rafferty does with intradisc neutrosis, which is a non-surgical way for your discs to regenerate, he's given people quality life years back. You know, that's his greatest joy, is doing that. And to have people who come in from Vermont. He had somebody who came in, a Wendy Bell radio listener who came in from Vermont. I hope to hear from that individual. Hopefully Doc will give me that person's contact or give them mine and they can see if they want to talk to me. But I'd be so interested in hear what's it like? How does it work? Are you happy? PittsburghDiscInstitute.com. There's a reason why people give so many 5-star reviews and love Doc Rafferty and his staff. 412-906-9600, 412-906-9600, PittsburghDiscInstitute.com. Because it works. It's not for me, right? Wendy, do you use Field of Greens on alternate days with the start? No, I drink them both the same day. Question, Wendy, explain how we have the general election in November and DJT wins. What's going to happen? The same BS as we have seen before. Who knows, you know? I think there are a lot of people, and I hope that this is the case, that there is a growing army of people, not just conservative people, but folks who are fed up. They're done with being lied to, stolen from. That's what your taxes are. Just thievery. And Donald Trump wants to make his tax cuts permanent. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be great to have some freaking money in your pocket rather than giving 40% of it to the government or your state? I'm a pretty general person. That would be nice. See you guys do it. You did. You hit it. 3.05. That's nuts. That's total nuts. Thank you. I'm not going to say 4 because Brock will drive you crazy with it. I don't need to pile on. So we're always shooting for the next milestone. Yeah, Whitmer is a real piece of work. In fact, we have 6 audio sound bites of her with Abby Phillip from CNN. And it is distressing to me as a former journalist to see how these people are just so hook, line, and sinker corrupt. And journalists. They're activists. That's what they are. They're not journalists. Journalists report what's going on, and they have to do it in the most objective way possible, extract themselves from the situation. Shouldn't be complicated, but it is now.
Slackjaw's giving fake news.
Uh-oh.
He said, Wendy's beautiful inside and out, no matter what Brock says. What did I say that?
Wow.
I mean, what did I say?
That I have super, super curly hair today. Have you ever wanted to shave your head?
I have.
You have shaved your head?
Yeah, a friend of mine had cancer, and she was losing her hair. And she was worried about what people would think. I says, I can take care of that for you. Took a bic to my head. And all everybody could think of was, I can't believe he did that. They didn't look. That was the story. So,
wow, way to take the spotlight off of her and her suffering.
I didn't take it. Wow.
All right. Let's see.
Is all I'm going to say is
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, right? We hit 3K exactly at 10:30. 10:30:00.
You guys are amazing, and I love you. Oh, I'm going to tell you about Canalidine in the next one.
She's a pain in the neck, but that's not me saying anything bad. That's just newsworthy. I mean, really. There's a difference between truth and fake news. We only bring the truth here.
Wow. That's hurtful.
Hey, when I lost power, who was the first one to point out that her AC was nice and cool?
And then who invited you over?
Right.
So we're not supposed to know that the whole point for the open borders is to bring in people to basically be the worker bees of this new great American society that's going to be predicated on a rich few. And the majority of the people who push this don't realize they're not part of the rich few until all the hammers drop. But a rich few, and then all of us working to keep the machines going, to keep the food coming, to keep all of the wheels greased. That's going to be your job, of course. And they need you to be blind to that. And so they don't cover what's going on at the border. They don't cover the crime. They don't cover the filth. They don't cover the human trafficking. They don't cover that hundreds of thousands of American children go missing every single year, never to be seen again. And we're supposed to just mystify it. Like, what? How does that happen? Why does that happen? Because there's a lot of gross stuff going on. I'm proud to say I'm involved in none of it. And I'm proud to say with 100% in my heart belief that neither is Donald Trump. And neither are the people that he chooses to be part of his cabinet, part of his inner circle. And we got a lot of work to do coming up. We have a lot of people to get the hell out of this country. We have a lot of people to send back where they came from. We have a lot of wall building to do. We have a lot of drilling to do. We have a lot of getting down to the basics of reclaiming this country. And it begins on my side with sharing with you audio sound bites that I think are illustrative of the suck. Now, you've got this woman, Abby Phillip. She is a news or a show host over at CNN. And you have the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer. Whitmer is a hack. Everybody knows she's a hack. She's a Democrat operative. She is a Joe Biden proper upper, if you will. She's part of the deep state. She's part of the establishment. She's no doubt taken a bite from the poison apple and is now paying back whatever happened to elevate her into her position. She's now, I believe, actively paying back the establishment for putting her in that. Shows that she is a Democrat operative. How do we shut down this conversation? No, what we need to do is actually tell the truth, Abby. That's the huge delineation from the legacy media. We like to tell the truth. You decide what you want to do with it. And we give you the facts and we give you the data so you can double check us, right? She wants to shut it down and create a narrative that everything is kosher. Gretchen Whitmer comes out and she basically lays the card on the table that it's all about illusion. If you look like you're having fun, if you look and play the part of the happy warrior, that's enough. It's all about Trump, that Joe Biden is in it for the country, not for himself. Did Joe Biden not take $30 million with his crime family syndicate? Does Joe Biden not have classified documents out the freaking wazoo that nobody's talking about? Has Joe Biden not totally proven to you how many different times over the last 47 years that he's about Joe Biden? Duh, of course he has. In audio soundbite number 2, they're going to beat the dead horse of abortion. Trump's platform is going to do this. Well, Abby Phillips says, you know what? Trump's platform, this Agenda 47, hardly makes any reference to abortion. It's not an agenda item for Donald Trump. It's something that the states need to decide. How much does he need to say this to you people? This is a huge problem for the Democrats. They need to be able to skewer Trump and saying he's extreme on women and extreme on abortion. But they can't. Listen,
The Republicans have released their platform. They're about to meet next week. They barely make mention of abortion. Trump said today that he scrubbed, quote, gay bans from the document. He said he is targeting, quote, moderates, but he says that he's aiming at common sense policies. Do you buy that?
Hell no, I don't buy that.
Hell no, I don't buy that. Hell no. Right? Gretchen Whitmer, who also is shooting down election integrity measures in her state. She wants to tell you what the real story is. There's a reason it's not part of the platform. Because we've got much bigger things to manage. If you guys want to go out and you want to terminate your pregnancies, that's on you. We've got other stuff to do. Is the most horrifying words a Democrat or a Democrat operative could hear right now. And so now they're going to turn their sights on the MAGA right-wing extreme justices that Donald Trump has installed. And Gretchen Whitmer is actually going to go after them right here. Listen to this.
This court that Donald Trump put there rips away the ability to get a medical abortion, and then IVF, and then surrogacy, and then stem cell research. I mean, that is the natural extension.
Do you guys realize, of course, that they sent Roe v. Wade back to the states? So, Gretchen, what you're doing is you are lying. You are lying about what the platform is. You are lying about what the high court has decided to do with its votes. Because what it's done is that common sense thing that Abby Phillip, the host there at CNN, is like baffled by. It's just kind of common sense. No, duh. Is everybody starving for a healthy ladling of common sense on their plate? Can I go through that cafeteria line a couple times and get more? Audio soundbite number 4. Why don't Democrats dump the baggage of Joe Biden and just elevate Kamala? Hey, Abby, newsflash. She sucks. Go.
Why not elevate Vice President Harris, who has really championed this issue, and put her at the top of the ticket without some of the baggage that President Biden might have? Do you think that there's wisdom in that potentially?
I think Vice President Harris has been an incredible advocate on behalf of women's reproductive freedom. She came to Michigan. We held reproductive roundtables like I talk about in the book. Actually sit with people, across from them, listen to them, empower voices, and make sure that people understand who is fighting for their rights. She's been a terrific advocate on that issue and so many others. And I do think that she adds a lot of strength to the ticket.
Well, that is a total non-answer. Do you think she should be elevated? Well, I think she came to my state and she sat down and listened to people for an hour. That takes true leadership. That's a big deal. Don't you know? She's great. Abby Phillip goes, well, that's cool, but you didn't answer my question. Listen.
But you don't necessarily think that if they were in a position to replace President Biden, do you think that she would be the best person to be at the top of the ticket?
She is the number 2 leader in this country for a reason. So I don't believe that we're going to be in a situation where it's not Joe Biden at the top of the ticket, but she is his right hand for very good reason.
Hey, Gretch, what has Kamala Harris done? She was the border czar. She's supposed to have high-speed internet everywhere. Wasn't she supposed to also get Flint, Michigan drinkable water for the first time in like 80 years? Are they still waiting for it in Flint? Kind of like East Palestine, Ohio, right? Where they're waiting for their crops to grow back and they're all like, zzz. Why ever would that be? I don't know, because somebody went, that's a good idea, right? There's Gretchen Whitmer sowing those oats. Now, how about this? The final proof that the media are hacks, right? If you need no other explanation today, this is where they're going to keep peddling. What's the greatest hoax involving Gretchen Whitmer? Do you remember, Brock? What was it again?
Her abduction?
Oh my gosh, the kidnapping. They were going to come and kidnap her. It was one of those sidebar stories. If the January 6th insurrection thing, oh no, it's an insurrection. If that didn't stick, well, then you could go out and you'd be like, oh yeah, those Oath Keepers, those Proud Boys, those MAGA extremists, they had talked, there was chatter that we intercepted, right? And they wanted to kidnap it. No, they didn't. It was all BS, Abby and Gretchen. And we all know that that was BS. But thank God you're still beating this dead horse. Go.
I have to ask you about the really terrifying plot to kill you and to kidnap you. that unfolded in your state. You talk in the book about how it's really changed you. It's changed your family, affected your children, your daughters. You walk into events, scan the room, looking for the exits. I imagine that's got to be incredibly painful and hard to move forward from. But there is this prospect that Donald Trump could be reelected and could seek retribution. Are you worried that you would be on his list for retribution?
Well, I'm told he keeps a list, and it's a very long list, and it has Republicans who've defected from him and probably a lot of Democrats on it, too. I think that should tell you everything you need to know about this man, other than the fact that he's a convicted felon who hundreds of thousands of Americans died on his watch. Our economy was struggling when he left office.
Oh, gosh. I feel so badly for these people. Just kidding. So there she is peddling the lie that there was some sordid plot to kidnap her. You know, it's sort of like Juicy Smollett, right? Opening the door when the police showed up and he still had the noose around his neck. Honestly, it's so dramatic. Okay. And there's a list. He keeps a list, she says. Maybe he's Santa. Maybe it's a list of people's mortgages that he paid off. Maybe it's a list of people who are running for president, like Jesse Jackson, who he bankrolled. Oh, that's right. Twice. Maybe it's all sorts of other things he's keeping a list of. Gretchen, you should be afraid. Very afraid. Quick time out. It shouldn't be this fun. When we come back, the real story is how much the media are so clearly exposed for their suck. More examples coming up next. I literally laughed out loud. So she's written a book. Let's see what it is.
It's a New York Times bestseller.
Thank you. Stop it.
You know,
get out of my head.
What kills me is that
she's making the circuit.
Isn't Gretchen? Who's going to want to abduct her?
What?
Didn't her husband try to
put their boat
leave during COVID and go on a boat ride?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, God, let me abduct a Karen, right? Like, no,
it's
no,
so
thanks.
Bad.
No, thanks.
It's so bad. It's great. Let me tell you about the Simkovich Concussion Institute, you guys.
I think she needs to see him because she's been bonked on the head.
Something's happened to our dear friend Gretch, and we could say it's just too much Kool-Aid, or we could say she's part of the apparatus of payback, because it seems like that's what she's doing. I want to tell you about the Simkovich Concussion Institute. And, you know, it's interesting. I get these testimonials that they send, and some of them are way deeper than I imagine. And there are people out there who, as I did as a little girl, suffered from chronic migraine headaches, can never stop. People who have amnesia and remember only at a certain date forward, and there's nothing behind that. There are people with cognitive issues, kids who have suffered a concussion or a problem, and they simply can't get over the hurdle at school. And there's something about going to a man, a doctor who's dedicated his entire life and professional everything to getting you diagnosed and healed and back to normal life, and to do so in a short period of time. This isn't like a months-long process. He needs a couple hours of your time for a few days. That's the intensive protocol. Get in my chair, let me evaluate you, and let me unlock the mystery for you. That's what it is. And that's what the Simkovich Concussion Institute does. There's a reason why the NHL Alumni Association partners with the Simkovich Concussion Institute, because what he does, what they do, changes people's lives. I am super proud to be a part of their life. So 412-366-3700. People do travel from all over the country to go see him. Isn't that cool? 412-366-3700. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. I think it's awesome what he does. Gretchen Whitmer. And you've got to be teed up by an equally active member of that cabal, right? And they just ping pong off of each other, sort of like Biden needing to give the questions to the radio station host. Well, he didn't need to give her the questions, and I love how she got fired for admitting that that's what happened. Don't get out of the cone of silence. So ridiculous. Isn't it great?
I love all the people who have wrote books. What is it? Wrote books that you have to wonder if they've ever even read a book. Sotomayor, bestseller. You think I don't think she's ever read a book, including law books.
Well, this has got to be huge because according to Amazon, 21 people have reviewed Gretchen Whitmer's book.
Huge.
I know. It's a big deal.
That's 21 people.
Gretch.
I've seen mops get more reviews than that.
True Gretch. It doesn't seem to be a bestseller yet. Who do you think wrote the inside of it?
Who thinks she wrote it? Not this guy.
The trailblazing Michigan governor.
Oh, God.
What's trailblazing about her? She said she was raped in college. I mean, that's terrible. It's not trailblazing to admit that. A lot of women are raped. A lot. So Gretchen Whitmer's new book, True Gretch, that's just gross. I mean, if somebody came to me and said that was, Wendy's going to write a book. We're going to call it Saved by the Bell. I'd say you're fired and you suck. Sit down. Absolutely not. We have this really weird, childish apparatus. These are not the smartest people in the room. These are really insecure willows. And they're just going along with this crazy train. And those of us who see something and say something, hey, I'm proud of it. You can come at me. I don't care. Let's go. I'll take on Joe Biden. I'll take on Gretchen Whitmer. I have no problem with that. The real story of all of this, I will say, is truly how dazzlingly bold these people are at expressing how much they suck. I want to read you this. It's an opinion piece in the Washington Post. And it's written by one of the Washington Post columnists. It's some guy named E.J. Dionne Jr. And he's kind of falling on the sword here. And he's like, clutching his heart, like, it's just so hard for me to admit that maybe other people were right about what's been going on in this country. Well, no duh, dude. Really? And so this is the title of his opinion piece. And I want you to hear this. It's so gross. The words about Joe Biden I never wanted to write. It's hard to acknowledge that those who worried about Biden's age may have been right all along. Hey, E.J. Dionne Jr., this is a great time for you to step in front of a mirror and to get super acquainted with that face looking back at you because you fell for the suck. Listen to this. 2 moments in President Biden's ABC News interview with George Stephanopoulos are likely to be remembered as the deal breakers that provoked an open rebellion against his candidacy. It's not an open rebellion. It's people being like, hey, just because the media ain't covering it doesn't mean we can't see it. As important as they were also moments when many among the president's strongest supporters began to lose heart. Stephanopoulos asked the exactly appropriate question near the end of their conversation. If you stay in and Trump is elected and everything you're warning about comes to pass, how will you feel in January? Many writers' responses to the question, the obvious being something like, if I didn't believe with all my heart that I will beat Trump, I wouldn't stay in this race. But instead, Biden offered what was close to the worst possible reaction, this guy writes in the Washington Post. And not because of the slightly fractured syntax. Slightly fractured syntax, he said goodest. Dude, goodest. And he changes it. This guy changes it. This is what he says Joe Biden responded to Stephanopoulos as saying. I'll feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the good as job as I know I can do. Not the goodest. That's what this is about. No, Biden's capacity to do a, quote, good job in the campaign is not what this is about. Donald Trump's threat to democracy is the overriding question before the country and the centerpiece of the president's case for re-election. What does that even mean? This man who's writing this story has been a journalist, a columnist, I'm sure for decades longer than I've been alive. And he's telling you that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. He's reading the talking points the establishment has disseminated. It's the same thing as Karine Jean-Pierre has on the podium, where she stands and lies to the American people every single time she speaks. It's the same talking points that you're going to hear later Michael Douglas says on The View. The same talking points. These people either cannot think critically on their own, which is scary enough. These are the thought provokers out there who are supposed to write things that make us go beyond the confines of our own minds. They prove to you by saying Donald Trump's threat to democracy. They either are hook, line, and sinker believing that, or they've been told that's what they have to say. I don't know about how you feel, but I wasn't raised with anybody telling me what to say. I was raised in a family that encouraged me to color outside the lines and to think outside the box and to come up with different solutions to problems and to carve my own path. Not to do what everybody else did, not to wear what everybody else was wearing, not to say what everybody else was saying, but to be myself. You have a giant club here. You're not part of it, but they need you to think that you are for their own relevance. And what they're slowly realizing is, you silly little peasants, you little peons, you nobody worker bees, you don't like that. And you can think for yourself. An informed, honestly informed electorate is their greatest nightmare, next to Donald Trump getting elected again. All right, when we come back, hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell Radio program, who can win anything without voters and money? Well, Joe Biden's banking on it. He's hoping that he can pull it off. You got to hear these terrible, terrible stories about how much his collapse is affecting all Democrats. Next.
You guys are killing it on the Rumbles. We'll say that. 3-3 already? Or 3-2-9? All these Democrats. I said it before. They're really good at towing the company line. Really good at it. And they don't even mind it. This is what makes me, it surprises me. They don't even mind that it makes them look stupid. I mean, guys like Eric Swalwell and women like Summerlee and AOC, we know they're stupid. They open their mouths and we just know. But the rest of them, where they'll just follow along and not even question. Say one thing, turn around, and they forget that the Wayback Machine, the internet, exists. Because it's shows like this. It's all the people out there willing to find the video, and it's Tom Elliott. Tom Elliott, if you don't follow him on Twitter or X or whatever people call it, he's fantastic. He puts up mashups.
Who's
Muse,
this?
Tom
Tom
Elliott.
Elliott. Oh, yeah, from Grabian?
Muse.
Or Grabian?
Yeah, Grabian. And there's...
How do you know it's Grabian?
because I tried to subscribe until I saw how much it was.
Well, that doesn't change the way that it's pronounced. Have you heard it be pronounced before?
Yeah, they do it on their.
Do they?
Yeah,
I've never heard
their
it.
website.
All right.
Arabian.
One would think it would be grab because they're grabbing all that stuff and putting it together, but that's just me. You know.
It's Wendy's world. We're just living.
I don't know.
I mean,
you're obviously correct if you've heard it. I just can't independently confirm that.
You're gonna make me. These earbuds make my ears
my ear
itchy.
was just itchy too. I wanted to read you, and I only read you the first 2 paragraphs of that Washington Post opinion piece because you don't have to read after that. Donald Trump's threat to democracy is the overriding question before the country. Hey, EJ, what does that mean? How is he a threat? What's he going to do to you? Why are you afraid? What's your role in this? Why is everybody scurrying? It's almost like you're afraid of what's going to come out. I can't wait. I'm stocking up on Patriot Switch popcorn. Their popcorn's good. Let me tell you about Morgan's Fitness, MORGAINZ fitness.com. This is Kelly Morgan's brand. It's her baby. It's her business. And she's a badass businesswoman at this. She's an Air Force veteran. She cares about this country. She cares about the truth. She feels the way you do about all of this. And she's created this really safe, and I mean safe in that it's a wonderful and supportive environment where fellow patriots come and they work out. And they work out in her gyms in Somerset and Cambria counties. But she also offers something online for folks like you and myself to do a virtual 90-day Ignite program where for 3 months she kicks the crap out of you. And you lift weights and you do this and you do that and you monitor this and that of your food. And then lo and behold, after 3 months, it's crazy. You look better. Huh? Right? MoreGainsFitness.com. Get in touch with her. See what you need to do to get involved. She's phenomenal. MoreGainsFitness.com. And another opinion piece in the Washington Post today. About time, senators demand special counsel to investigate Clarence Thomas. They can't stop going after Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas knew what he was up against when he dared be black and conservative. Just gotta say it.
Don't hit the rumble button. I want you to guess how many were
3.34.
3.35.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Nice. Thanks, you guys. We've got just shy of 10,000 watching on Rumble that I see.
Over 1,000 on X.
Oh, nice. Well, we're here every day. Crazy hair and all. Newsmax.
Marcus has not won the mayorship yet, but
he's
still there.
Oh, yes.
He's still there. He's holding on.
Isn't that gross?
He's like Joe Biden.
It's just
he's doing nothing but just
lying
there.
Yeah.
He's dead inside. Both.
Let's see. 1, 2. I can also tell you quickly about Ireland Contracting. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. Home exterior renovation experts. Don't muck around if you live in Western Pennsylvania. Don't roll the dice. If you've got a project like roofing, siding, soffit, fascia, gutters, downspouts, new windows, 36 months, 0% financing, pretty good job, pretty good deal. Pella Window Installer, Owens Corning, Platinum Preferred Roofer. These folks know what they're doing, and they're great people. Ireland Contracting, they're friends of ours. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. And don't forget their son, Dan, is an electrician, and he will come and do landscape lighting, GFCI, ceiling fans, whatever you need.
And they're Wendy Bell radio approved.
They are. Duh.
We left that one out.
Sorry about that. First classes that you're taking is basically media ethics. And they just pound it into you. All these scenarios are what happens if you're doing this? What happens if you're doing that? What do you feel about this? What do you feel about that? And this whole idea of integrity, it's something that is unspoken. It should be in journalism, and it's gone. It's gone. And I remember when I had a script I had to read many years later, if I bounced from job to job, and I finally landed here in Pittsburgh at the ABC station. And as an anchor on one of the nightly newscasts, I had to read a story that I knew was factually incorrect. Totally wrong. And I went to the news director, and the news director pushed me aside, and I was really ticked. And so I went to the general manager, who told me basically, shut up and read the prompter. Your view is not what we care about. You say what we tell you to say. We own you. We own whatever you do, whatever you say, whatever stories you produce. We own you. If you win an Emmy Award, you know what? We own that too. Interesting. Kind of the beginning of the end for me in traditional media. Independent thought is so much better than this groupthink that's so easily co-opted and controlled. And it's scary how many of these robots we have walking around. You know, if you don't have money and you don't have votes, you don't have a candidate. And that is the true story of what is going on with Joe Biden right now. And that is why all of these Democrats, you've got the Ilhan Omars and Nancy Pelosi's, Hakeem Jeffries, Eric Swalwell, James Clyburn, Maxine Waters, all of these people coalescing firmly behind Joe Biden. This is it. This is the last gasp. And then you're seeing the more moderate folks in the Democratic Party, the Dean Phillips, who are like, this isn't a viable candidate. For no other reason than just his clear collapse, his clear age. He's not well. And everybody knows it. But when you lose your money, you lose your billionaire donors, you start losing people like George Clooney, who now wants you to believe he's been paying attention, but he's not. All he wants to do is defeat Donald Trump. Do you think George Clooney knows that Donald Trump is far better for his bottom line than Joe Biden? Doesn't matter if you're a multimillionaire, of course. Well, I read this story on townhall.com. Biden's fundraising operation is collapsing. If he can't raise money, then the DNC doesn't have the funds in other places, in specific, really tenuous Senate races, to try to carve out any semblance of a win. That is the sheer panic. When the mega donors said they would stop cutting checks unless Joe Biden dropped out of the race, you knew the impact would be significant. Apparently, other donors caught wind of the chaos and the uncertainty that's now engulfed the Democratic Party as lingering questions about Biden's mental health dominate the national discussion. With Biden at the top of the ticket, threatening down ballot races and the overall circus that's ensued, people are not cutting checks to the president's re-election campaign, whose fundraising numbers have cratered. Now, nobody can be counted on in the media or in this Biden administration to tell the truth about that. They choose vacuous people with low IQ numbers, Karine Jean-Pierre, to go out and lie every single day. It is the political propaganda machine that I say runs the Democrat Party's messaging. But if you don't have the dollars and cents, you're screwed. This is according to NBC News. This is what NBC said. President Joe Biden's campaign has already suffered a major slowdown in donations, and officials are bracing for a seismic fundraising hit, with the fallout from a debate several weeks ago taking a sizable toll on operations, according to 4 sources close to the re-election effort. It's already disastrous, one of the sources close to Biden's re-election said of fundraising. The money has absolutely shut off to the Biden campaign. All right? Another source close to Biden's re-election said a Biden campaign spokesperson pushed back, of course, on the notion that fundraising was down. This is like how they pushed back on George Clooney saying, I don't like Donald Trump, but this dude ain't the guy. This isn't going to get us across the finish line. What is the White House's juvenile response? that Joe Biden has more stamina than George Clooney because Clooney left. He left the Hollywood fundraiser 3 hours before it ended because it was so obvious to him and everybody else in the room that Joe Biden is gone. Right? One of the people close to the re-election effort said earlier this week that the campaign believed major donors who have threatened to jump ship after the debate would come around, if only to avoid helping Trump by sitting out the race. Trump, again, is the boogeyman all the time. But you know what? Look at this. Chuck Todd. I heard this audio this morning. I'm not going to play it for you. But Chuck Todd and Politico laughing on Chuck Todd's podcast about knowing of Biden's condition, whatever the condition that the White House tells us he certainly doesn't have. And by no means the Parkinson's doctor who visited the White House 10 times in the last, 15 months certainly wasn't visiting Joe Biden. Oh, no. And there's, of course, no reason why his physician, this Kevin O'Connor guy, why he would tell us anything other than the truth. No. They're laughing about knowing and covering it up. Look, if you haven't cut the cord yet, if you're still watching 60 Minutes, or you're still watching any of these programs, why? We'll give you the thumbnail the next day. Supporting them allows it to continue. So here's your story. It's pure comedy when journalists speak candidly and upset their allies in the process. TMZ of all outlets stumbled across footage of George Stephanopoulos on the streets of New York. Random citizens spotting the ABC News host recorded a brief interlude, managing to get him on camera stating he didn't believe Biden could deliver a second term as president. Well, a blind person listening to Joe Biden speak could know. And the blowback, of course, was immediate. George and ABC News issued separate statements of quasi-apology and denials. See? They're not allowed to see something, say something. They're not allowed to tell you the truth. You are being fed pure political propaganda. What did Stephanopoulos say? Earlier today, I responded to a question from a passerby. I shouldn't have. He told Puck News in response to the video. This means, George, you saw no issue with him at the time, but once it became confirmed with the public, then, of course, it was a problem. And maybe Joe Biden can't make it to the finish line. George Clooney, of course, coming out of the closet, coming out with his own New York Times opinion piece, as we said, believing Biden should be replaced. And then Chuck Todd laughing about it, basically saying on his podcast, they saw evidence of this mental collapse more than a year ago. Why did you sit back? Because the apparatus is such. The bribery and the blackmail apparatus is such that the voices who are supposed to tell us what's going on, independent of their own politics and independent of outward influences, are being controlled by a singular theme. And it's the same theme that Karine Jean-Pierre has in her binder. Are you seeing it now? Of course you are. Which is why independent media like this program have taken off. These folks might be late to the party, but you're not. When we come back on the Wendy Bell Radio program, tracking this historic surge of corporate bankruptcies. Look, I don't think Trump can get in office fast enough. The numbers are jaw-dropping. I wonder if Abby Phillip and Gretchen Whitmer would like to maybe illuminate us on Joe Biden's finest accomplishments. Next. They can't give you specifics. Oh, they passed the CHIPS Act. What does that mean? They can't tell you. How does that tangibly affect America? They can't tell you. Oh, well, he got bipartisan infrastructure. Oh, so he got a bunch of hacks on the right and the left to agree to pass trillions of dollars in spending that we can't afford. That isn't being accounted for at all. There's no audit of where the money goes and who's spending it. And we're going to take it and we're going to say that that's a victory. Are you out of your mind? You know, victory, Brock can tell you, because he's now drinking it with me. They sent me 2 jars of it, so I gave one to my trusty partner. Do you see how I roll? Right, Brock? Mm-hmm. Getcert.com/Wendy. I'm going to tell you what they say I'm supposed to say, because I never say what I'm supposed to say. Let's see if it's different. If my ad-libbing is better. I think it is. Let's see. Have you heard of the CERT food diet? Probably not, because it's something that was only popular among celebrities until now. In fact, it's actually not a diet at all. It's about specific foods you should be adding to your diet. You may know some of the big names who've actually followed it, like mixed martial artist Conor McGregor, claims to have used the diet as well, or world championship boxer David Haye, who credits his amazing shape to it, or my remarkably shapely body. Right? As I've been drinking it. Now, the 2 international bestseller authors who created the CERT food diet have released this scintillating recipe on us. The CERT juice. And you can get it. Looks like this. Put a scoop in cold water. It's got all these ingredients in it that you can't taste. Of America. And it's not Joe Biden. It's the apparatus. And here's the headline of this article. We haven't seen an historic surge of corporate bankruptcies like this since the Great Recession. Wait, come again? That's how bad it is. No wonder 78% of us are living paycheck to paycheck. Think about that. 3 out of 4. Chew on that for one hot second while I give you these details. We continue to get numbers that indicate the U.S. economy is steamrolling in the wrong direction as we approach the most chaotic election season in our history. Needless to say, the performance of the economy is going to play a major role in the outcome of the election because millions upon millions of Americans are really suffering right now. Homelessness has been growing at the fastest pace ever recorded. Hunger and poverty are exploding. And we're in the midst of a cost of living crisis that doesn't seem to have any end in sight. Where is there a journalist to rattle that off to any of these talking heads of suck? They're all in it together. And if they don't cover it, it is journalism by omission. And that's where we are. Unfortunately, there are signs that things will soon get even worse. For example, we experienced an historic surge of corporate bankruptcies during the first half of this year. It was worse than anything we've witnessed since the first half of 2010. Who was in charge then? Oh, that's right, Barry. This historic surge of corporate bankruptcy underway in the U.S. as debt-saddled companies struggled to adjust to a new era of high interest rates. It's amazing what happens when you strangle people. You know what happens? They don't go out and buy stuff. What happens to all of that? Oh, that's right. Nobody makes any money. And then we're going to ratchet up the minimum wage, specifically among food workers in California. And then we're going to be baffled. Wait a minute. It's not cost effective to own a restaurant anymore or to work in one because not a single restaurant's going to give you full-time hours because they can't afford it. New figures published by S&P Global Intelligence show that 75 companies filed for bankruptcy in June alone. It's the highest number recorded in a single month ever since 2020 at the height of COVID. That pushed this year's total number of bankruptcies so far to 346, which is notably higher than comparable levels last seen in the past 13 years. Before this, the highest half-year figure recorded was in 2010 with 437 companies filing for bankruptcy from January through June. I'm going to drop a little news flash on you. Brock, can I have a breaking news? Can I have a little breaking news right here? I'm going to say that. There we
Wendy
go.
Bell, breaking news.
It's almost like voting Democrat ruins everything. I know none of you have thought about this before. Like, I think we should vote for Joe Biden to finish the job. Let's bankrupt the whole damn country. That's the only way to do it. Right? Because every single time you allow a Democrat to go in office, taxes go up, spending goes up, bureaucracy goes up, the size of the government goes up, and you lose what? Your economic freedom, right? Your freedom of speech, your freedom to peacefully assemble, your right to request redress from your government, which is your right. And everything seems to go sideways. Now, we can go through all of the nuts and bolts of every company that has decided it ain't financially feasible to continue in business because the Democrats ruin every single thing that they touch. But just be reminded every time they call Donald Trump an existential threat to democracy. This isn't a democracy. It's a constitutional republic. And they are just so damn scared that you're going to take your constitutionally protected rights and vote their asses out of office. Check, please. Coming up next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network, my friends, let's hear the voices that hate America. All the Democrats that voted down that bill, even though it passed, to require proof of citizenship to vote. Why don't they want it? Next. Why is my camera moving?
My computer just...
Yeah.
Everything
just went sideways. I don't know. All right, let's see if I can freeze it. All right.
I mean, it's just...
I like it. Upper body. We did presets 1 before, right? All right, I'm on preset 1. All right. Yeah, something went sideways because we got kicked some way.
It's saying I get charged. And I'm plugged in.
Guys, let me see. I want to tell you about perhaps one of the most exciting things I've tried in a while that I like to share with you. And it's this canolidine, all right? And I want to tell you about this. If you suffer from daily pain the way I do, what we know about pain relief is changing forever. Here's what we know. As we age, aches and pains obviously are normal, and we're always searching for ways to get rid of the pain. Safety is more important than ever, too. Look, I could easily get hooked on painkillers. I've almost gotten hooked before, and I'm not taking them again. No Percocet, no opioids, no nothing. It's bad for me, right? So how do you get the effects of a morphine-based pain relief product without the side effects of addiction, withdrawal, whatever? Well, you don't go to Big Pharma and you don't go to an opioid. You go to trycono.com/Wendy and you get this instead. Nature's morphine. Oh, I just put it on my lip. Smells minty. It literally smells like a mouthwash. And you put it on wherever you're hurting and you rub it in and you give it 15 minutes and you realize something really cool. You're not thinking about your pain anymore because the pain goes away. And then if you do that and you use the sublingual drops that I use under my tongue, I use it twice a day, you start to realize that your body builds up these pain receptors, these defenses to the pain receptors. So you wake up with less pain. My chronic pain in my foot, I wake up with 75 to 80% less pain in my foot. I add this on, rub it in, put a sock on, walk around my house. In 15 minutes, I'm ready to go. And I can go almost the entire day just with that. I can walk without limping. I'm not getting that weird hitch in my gait anymore that threw off my back. Canolidine. If I can invest, if Clint Winters is watching, I want to invest in this. I will buy stock in canolidine, or maybe just have an endless supply of it at the ready. You can get these products by going to trycono.com. Try CONO. They tell you what canolidine is, why it's so revolutionary, and why you need to try it. There's somebody in your life with chronic pain. If it's not you, somebody in your life. Do yourself a favor. Get what I get. Go to trycono.com/Wendy. Have it shipped to your door and tell me how much you love me later. It better be more than Darius.
I have back up for you. He was nice enough to send me a little care package.
Oh, you did get one.
Yeah.
What'd you get?
I got the sublinguals and the frost. I'm trying to figure out why
that happened.
Yeah, and it happened at the same time as your camera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know, because I saw you got bounced off of that and you had to go to the side one.
I'm at both now, just so I have. Thankfully, I have two of the same computer, so it's easy to. I'm going to keep this one up just in case.
So we're going to get to this vote because it is a big deal. It's not going anywhere, which I find excruciatingly vexing. There are a lot of exercises in futility, but all of these floor votes in the House, all of the votes in the Senate, they force our elected representatives in this constitutional republic to go on record, to show us how they feel. Are they listening to you? Are they voting the way you want? And they go on the record that way. I find it very interesting. Who are the 5 who voted again? I sent you that, didn't I?
Yes. 355. Killing it. You know, I hate when this stuff happens. Now it's going to bother me all day. Uh-oh.
What? Oh, God. This is so weird. Does anybody else, honestly, are you weirded out
Watch the stream. Like, watch all the things that come up when.
I can. I'm singing to you. I have to sing to you. I feel like it's so weird. Do you guys look
before?
Do you guys think like it's so weird? I mean, you can say it. All you ladies out there, I know this country, be it through the Industrial Revolution or what have you, or who served in war. If you believe all of those things, like the House Republicans do, then this vote yesterday should have been a no-brainer. Let's put it on record. Who believes that only citizens should vote in our elections? Because people in Washington, D.C., the Democrats in Washington, D.C., have already granted non-citizens the ability to vote in their elections. So don't tell me that this isn't going to happen. Don't tell me that this wasn't the plan from the get-go. That this is the whole global compact on migration is to create chaos, to muddy the waters of a country's fabric, its history, its double helix, its DNA, to bring in a bunch of people with no skin in the game, to crash the system. It's Cloward Piven. And if you're not familiar with that, go check it out. Cloward Piven. It's exactly what it is. So the House Republicans are like, look, and with 100 co-signers of this bill, they're like, look, in America, it should be very basic. This is not complicated. You need to be an American to vote for an American president. It should be in everything, period. And all but 5 Democrats voted against the measure. Now, of course, we have the majority. And so it quote unquote passed, but it's not going anywhere because now we're going to go over to the Senate where Chuck Schumer won't even let it get to the floor. And it is an exercise in futility, except for the fact that you're going to be able to see in black and white how the people who are allegedly representing us in this country in Congress feel about our values. Democrats do not have pro-American values. They are not pro-freedom. They are not pro-self-defense. They are not pro-business. They are not pro-family. They are not pro-anything except themselves in this new liberal world order hellscape that is settled into so many cities already in this country. So there's only one reason the Democrats oppose requiring proof of citizenship to vote. And this is a great article in the Federalist. And then I'm going to pepper in, I've got, let's see, five House Democrats who before the vote yesterday took to the floor to basically finger wag all of the Republicans who believe in something very basic. If you're not going to have skin in the game, if you're not a citizen, sit down. We don't care what you think. Factual. As the Republican-controlled House is expected to take up a bill, this was obviously written Wednesday, aimed at making sure the U.S. citizens, only U.S. citizens, vote in federal elections. Of course, Joe Biden is signaling he would kill the measure should it miraculously survive the Democrat-led Senate. Biden is not likely to need his veto pen. Hey, Gretchen Whitmer. Hey, Abby Phillip on CNN. Hey, Jake Tapper. Hey, Dana Bash. Hey, George Stephanopoulos. And every other media person of note who sucks. Do you not see that their goal is to destroy America? And if you do not see it and you do not say something, you're obviously complicit, you're complacent, or you're stupid. And all three suck. I want you to hear some of these voices. The people saying, and the reasons, the lame-o reasons why, they say that requiring citizens to prove birth certificate or otherwise, I was born in this country. I've got one from Evanston, Illinois. My birth certificate shows when I was born, how big I was, who I came from, etc., etc. They want you to think that, of course, like Kamala Harris said, it's racist to expect black folks to go out to a Kinko's and get some proof of ID. We couldn't possibly do that. What a belittling and racist commentary. And the black community is awakened to that. Let's listen to some of these voices. Well, apparently it costs far too much money for you to prove that you're from America, that you were born here, that you're a citizen of this great country. This is your great honor to prove this document, right? Who wouldn't want to get this? Well, it's too much money. This is Representative Jennifer McClellan. She is a Democrat out of Virginia. This is one of the lines of defense. Costs too much. Go.
This bill is essentially a poll tax because I am not aware of a single proof of citizenship document that does not cost an individual money to get it, unless we are requiring every state to provide one for free, and then it's an unfunded mandate. This is the 2024 version of the Jim Crow poll tax, and we should vote against it.
Jen, you know what? You know what's a poll tax? The estimated taxes I've got to pay every 3 months. Why? Because you guys are absolutely crushing us with your stupid spending. So you know what? You can clutch your pearls all you want and quote Jim Crow. Oh, it's a Jim Crow poll tax. Sit down, sister. See, this is why checking boxes is a bad look on anybody. If she was hired because she's a minority or she's a woman or what have you, this is why we want the best people for the job, no matter who they look like. That is not the best Virginia can do. Do you feel me? Let's move on to the excuse number 2, why the Democrats on the floor said they had to shoot this bill down. This is terrible that we would expect people to show that they're American citizens to participate in the process of voting in a president, right? What's the proof? What's this now? Oh, it's xenophobic. I guarantee you Summer Lee probably can't spell xenophobic, let alone tell you what it means, because she's been given her talking points. Yet another low information representative allegedly hired in by the Democratic Party. This from my state of Pennsylvania. Good job, Pennsylvania. Listen.
Hypotheticals. It is under attack right now, right here with this very bill. Republicans want to throw up barriers because when people vote, they lose. Let me be clear. They don't want you to vote. They don't want to hear black voices, brown voices, LGBTQIA voices, young voices. Our fundamental access to our democracy is being politicized. And this xenophobic attack that we're debating today will make it harder for Americans to vote. My Republican colleagues will claim that requiring IDs is a small ask, but nearly 30 million people lack a valid driver's license, and about 15 to 18 million adults don't have access to documents proving their birth or citizenship. Americans don't need more obstacles. It's already hard enough. That's why I'm proud.
What's it like, Summer, to just be such a disappointment? I'm embarrassed that you're from my community. I'm embarrassed that I have blockhead neighbors with stupid signs in their yard with that woman's name. But then again, this is the same county that voted in a socialist as its leading executive. So there you go. Reason 752. Pennsylvania sucks. All right, let's go on to Hakeem Jeffries. This is great. Reason number 3, the Democrats shot down this bill requiring proof of citizenship to vote in federal elections. Well, he says it's an extreme MAGA Republican voter suppression bill. Here you go.
Only citizens can vote for the United States Senate. Only citizens can vote for the presidency of the United States. So this extreme MAGA Republican voter suppression bill is not designed to solve any problem on behalf of the American people. It is designed to jam people up and prevent Americans from voting. The extreme MAGA Republican voter suppression.
You know what? You know what jams people up, Hakeem? Crime in their neighborhoods, not being able to walk outside without being afraid of what's going to happen. How about not having money to pay emergency expenses? How about being so jammed up by your ridiculous fiscal policies that stink that they have to live paycheck to paycheck or, resort to crime to make ends meet? That, Hakeem, is the existential threat. Number 4, it's rooted in fear and division. Here's Representative Delia Ramirez from Illinois. Illinois, you can do better.
If we believe in the power of democracy, we should reject discriminatory rules rooted in fear and division and instead increase protections and expand access. This bill, they call it the SAVE Act. It should be called the Don't Let Americans Act. Don't Let Americans Vote Act. And so I rise here opposing and asking my colleagues to vote no on this bill. I yield.
These are low information people. Low information people. What does she even say? Do you think she knows what she even said? Because it was written for her. It was written for her and she got it emailed to her, and this is what she'll say in your time. That's the deal. Don't think for yourself, right? You're part of the machine now, Delia. Good girl. Now sit down. Finally, it's going to lead to endless insurrections. If we pass this bill, this is Representative Joe Morrell from New York. He's going to try to stick the landing. You tell me if it works.
For Republicans is for them to lay the groundwork to undermine the outcome of the presidential election just as they did 4 years ago, just as they will again and again until they realize either the futility of this exercise or the republic crumbles. I pray for the former. Democrat.
Wow, isn't it a shame? Right? I mean, I don't like to come out and say that I just blanket dislike people, but I just really do. They don't want any obstacles to the millions of illegals who've come across our border, breaking our laws, having unfettered access to our elections so that they can replace the black voters who've awakened. Just wanted to make sure everybody got that. All right, quick timeout. When we come back, got to end with some Michael Douglas and The View. I mean, that's like the icing on top of your poo cake, isn't it? It's next on the Wendy Bell Radio program. This has flown by today, I'm just going to say. I love that my dad is texting me. It's nice to hear from him. 3.59. You guys have been amazing. That's amazing. And we're not killing it with numbers today. It's not like, woo. Aw. I'm getting a lot of texts. Wow, 10, huh? 10.
will sustain a traumatic brain injury each year. If you are one of these individuals living life with the symptoms of concussion syndrome.
My friends Ron and Violet think I should run for office.
No.
And they said that they would help me. What do you mean no? Are you going to stop my dream?
Your dream is running for office?
No.
I will say this.
No. What?
Wendy Bell is more valuable in the spot that she is in.
Where's your microphone?
Wendy Bell is more valuable in the situation she is in, this place she is, than in a seat. It's as simple as that. Rush Limbaugh was way more important at what he did and where he was at and how many people he spoke to than he would be reclaiming his time for 5 minutes in a sham.
Reclaiming my time. Well, you would have to allow yourself to devolve down to just a dullard. I mean, the way they communicate, the things that they say, the ideas that they push, their rationale, it's always verbal spaghetti. You know, it was like my neighbor across the street, total Democrat, wackadoodle. No, he was a progressive who had some business plan that he wanted Joe and me to invest in, but he couldn't explain what it was. So what exactly do you do? Like, what's your skill? What are you selling? What is the business? And he couldn't define it. Sort of like Joe Biden and his crime family syndicate. What is it that you did for that money? Well, we spoke in circles, verbal spaghetti.
Brooke doesn't even want to run for office. I wouldn't want to be her. I would be miserable. Miserable.
No, you wouldn't. I would abuse taxpayer dollars out the wazoo. We would travel by limo. We would eat the finest meals.
Flowers everywhere.
Yes. See, you know me. Fresh flowers always.
Right.
How about Val and Paul from Stinkies? They sent me a plant thing in this beautiful glass. It's heavy as nuts. All these plants, it's like this. It's literally like this. I've never gotten anything. It is so stunning. It left me speechless. Isn't that nice? I'm not saying I need anything. I'm just saying it was such a lovely gesture. And I love them so much.
The ones you don't expect are the night.
I love that. Just really so grateful to be supported by people like you guys. It's a phenomenal little relationship, isn't it? Predicated on honesty and trust. That's a novel idea, isn't it? Why are these jackwagons having a powwow outside the studio? Beat it.
Because they want to listen.
Yeah, right. Thanks.
Sounded good, right?
You know, these people coming forward, these celebrities. Michael Douglas, I know he had some problems. Didn't he have some cancer? He had some issue with his throat or his mouth or something. I don't even know. I always liked Michael Douglas. Look, I try to extract my personal feelings about actors who decide to wade into political fields. It really is a bad look. So no matter how you're going to do it, you're going to alienate the potential, half of your potential audience. So it's really one of these super tricky areas. So you have him. He's at the end of his career, his end of his life, ostensibly, if you look at the general picture. Sort of like George Clooney. George Clooney has made gobs of money. He doesn't have to sell, one more box office ticket to still be rich for the rest of his life. He can kind of say whatever the Sam Hill he wants to say. So actor Michael Douglas goes on The View, and he joins the Joe Biden chorus of concern. And this is on twitchy.com, all right? I want to read this to you. It would take more than a bit of makeup to help Joe Biden and his performance issues accordingly. We all know this. Actor and longtime Democratic Party supporter Michael Douglas admitting Wednesday he is, quote, deeply concerned, ladies and gentlemen, about whether President Biden can win re-election following his debate performance last month. Now, see, all they care about is stopping Trump. All I care about is helping Trump. They won't talk about the obvious failures, corruption, deception, this whole web of suck that they've woven for us. All they can say, since they can't run on their own platform and they can't say anything that Joe Biden's ever done, because everything they're about is based on emotion. And if emotionally you've been told, oh my gosh, Democrats are the best ever and Donald Trump's terrible. And if you don't have critical thinking skills, which apparently they don't, this is what you're going to be. I want you to hear Michael Douglas on with the ladies from The View. I want you to think about your response to this. I think it's hilarious and sad all wrapped into one. Let's go.
You just came out with an op-ed calling for Biden to step aside, saying the stakes are too high for future generations. Would you like to respond to that?
Well, I think it's a valid point. I mean, I'm deeply concerned. I mean, especially it's difficult because the Democrats have a big bench. I mean, they've got a lot of heavy hitters.
A lot of talent there.
A lot of talent.
Well known. People have to catch up. They only have a few months to catch up.
I do worry with like the debate, the difficulty with the debate. I mean, it was relatively simple. I mean, first of all, they should have just told the president to stand up, put a little makeup on him, you know, for the debate, which should help, and then where to look.
Mm-hmm. And call the other guy a convicted felon.
And call the other guy, and just don't deal with all your facts, just deal with his lies.
Yeah. Just say you're a liar. That's a lie. That's another lie, and a lie, and
when
a lie,
he does that, everybody says you're not doing that. You know, you can't win in this game. I really feel bad for him. You know what? If he can't do the job, and we see he can't do the job, then he's got to go. But until I can see that, I'm going to support him.
Yeah.
Like I'm supporting you because we're coming back with more with you. We'll be back with more with Michael Douglas.
Wow. We'll be... I pity you. I pity all of you on that panel. And it's just the grossest emotion. I've told you before, I'd rather you hate me than pity me, because that's the lowest of the low. Like, you're so not worthy of my frustration and ire. So I'm just going to kind of brush you aside like a crumb and do away with you. All these great accomplishments they say Joe Biden has done, has made. Do you think they honestly believe that? I think they honestly believe that. I think they're hook, line, and sinker into all this green climate nonsense, which is demonstrably bullcrap, right? I think they celebrated the Keystone Pipeline getting shut down. Oh, so what that gas prices out in California when I was there were $5.45 a gallon. And that was on the cheap side, right? That's okay. We're cool with that. Forget, if you will, all of the things that he's done in this country that have made your life more expensive and more inconvenient. The single overarching, overriding thing is their ambivalence to human trafficking, because there must be only one explanation for that. They're thick in the throes of it. It must be so profitable. It must be so amazing for all these people who promise you that they care about your feelings. They don't want to be ableist or ageist. Everything's about emotion and, don't care that 800,000 kids go missing in our country. And they didn't bat an eye and didn't cover the story when the New York Times blew the lid on the 85,000 children who crossed into this country from other countries by themselves, who have since vanished. This is the party that cares. Is that so? I wonder sometimes how they go to bed at night, right? Hey, the good news is we're here to do it again tomorrow. So everything that happens today, you want to know about it, same time, same place, Wendy Bell Radio Network app. We love you. Come on back. Peace.
तो यहाँ पर ये हो सकता है कि कुछ भी हो सकता है, तो आपको चाहिए कि यूट्यूब चैनल को लाइक करें, फॉलो करें, शेयर करें और ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा फॉलो करें और इस कंटेंट को लाइक करें, शेयर करें और ऐसी कंटेंट मैं अपलोड करता रहूँगा और जो है फटाफट से, ताकि मेरा चैनल मोनेटाइज हो, सब्सक्राइबर टारगेट कंप्लीट करवाओ फटाफट से। ये बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग क्लिप्स हैं जो मैं आप डालूँगा। बहुत ही फ़नी शो है, इंग्लिश में है, इससे इंग्लिश भी आपकी इम्प्रूव हो सकती है और जो है वो आप इजीली इंग्लिश सीख भी सकते हो काफ़ी ज़्यादा अच्छे तरीके से। और काफ़ी इंटरेस्टिंग शो है, बोरिंग शो भी नहीं है, तो आपको कोई मसला नहीं होगा। तो इस शो को आगे आने वाले सारे एपिसोड्स आपके पास आएंगे। जब तक आप अपने चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं करोगे तो तब तक आप ऐसे शो को मिस करते रहोगे। तो फटाफट से लाइक, फॉलो एंड शेयर।
ना बटन टेबलेट आखिर तक नहीं
इसमें समीर भाई ने
वो अटैक करवा रहे बटन